put a medallion around his neck with King Tut's name and Obama's picture on it, engraved in it. And then he went over to Saudi. There he declared that we're a Muslim nation, you see. Then he went over to Saudi Arabia and made a speech, but his wife couldn't come. She went on all this trip all through Europe, you know, and the Holocaust thing, and where he put a single rose on a marker, and he went all over and had a little argument with Angela Merkel, had an argument with the Sarkozys in France, and wouldn't even go out to lunch with them, and, insulting them, and an argument with Gordon Brown, arguing with everybody because he's taking the preeminence, you see. And then he goes over and they declare him the king of the Nile, put this medallion around his neck, and then they gave him the Aziz Order of Merit, which is a big gold chain, and it has a 6-pointed star inside of a 7-pointed star, making 13 points with a palm tree rising out as it would rise out of the Nile River. He's got this big gold thing. Of course, a little gold isn't much to invest in that man. I mean, after all, if they can raise the oil prices, they'll get that back. But there he was over there fulfilling a mission. You see, when Barack Obama was accepting the nomination, he chose the Denver Broncos Stadium, a mile high in the mountains there. Denver, where east meets west, the very middle of our country in the occult. The witches always call it the place where east meets west. Of course, remember how John Denver, the songwriter, ended up over there? Rocky Mountain High and all this stuff. Of course, he was a lot of places. He went to California, too. They get around a little. But that was his favorite spot there. Of course, he wrote that song, Inch by Inch, Row by Row, Gotta Make This Garden Grow. Anybody ever hear that song? And they called upon a force to warm it from below. Huh? And so forth. And the garden song. Yeah, I happen to, see, I just remember all this stuff. It's really something. But anyway, and of course, Barack Obama picked this spot. Why? A Denver Broncos, of all the places. Why that stadium? Well, it's kind of interesting because, yes, it is where east meets west, but also, who was the mascot for the Denver Broncos team? They had a brilliant white stallion, an Arabian stallion. Beautiful white horse, and it was named Thunder. The very meaning of Barack's name in Hebrew. Then, you reference back to when Muhammad was all laying in his little tent there, 51 years old, trying to get a night's sleep, and the angel Gabriel, this is what the Muslims teach. The angel Gabriel came in and roused him up and invited him to come outside. Because outside there was a brilliant white Arabian stallion with wings that Gabriel told him once belonged to Abraham, and his name was Al-Barak, the horse of thunder, right? And Gabriel mounted the horse, and so did Muhammad, and they flew all over to the holy spots in the world, Jerusalem and Mecca and these different places, and then took him straight up to Allah, where he met Allah face to face, and told him that one day Muhammad would ride again on a white horse. So now you got Barack Obama going to the Bronco Stadium. Here's this Arabian stallion, brilliant white, named Thunder, and there he accepted his nomination. On April 24th, the horse dropped dead. Poor animal. Another coincidence? Huh? These things just happen? Is this all these things just all fall, and, you know, it's all chance, huh? No. It's all by design. So now you've got King Tut of the Nile, who's also President of the United States, who also has won the hearts of all the people in Europe. And while he was making the speech in Cairo, a storm came up in Washington, D.C., and literally this violent storm near the White House came and took a tree that was 69 years old, planted in 1940, and ripped it out by the roots and slammed it down on the White House lawn. It was a European linden tree. Where did the lindens grow? Remember, think back now to the Third Reich. Think about Hitler's favorite saying about how they would gather unter den Linden. Wilhelmstrasse. Where did Barack Obama make his big springboard speech for Europe when he was campaigning? He's supposed to be campaigning over here, but he's in Berlin, unter den Linden, under the linden trees, making his speech. Hanging around in Berlin under the linden. So there's a linden tree on the White House lawn. He's making a speech in Cairo. God comes along with a storm, pulls it out by the roots, a 69-year-old tree, and slams it down. So that's what I think of you. All right? Another coincidence? How many more do you want? There's all kinds of them. It goes on and on and on. No, all of this is done by design. And I'll tell you, dark clouds are captivating our country. And people are walking around in this Obama daze. They can't think straight. I got some people get so mad at me for even mentioning Obama. You know, we had 45 prison chaplains that don't want the newsletter anymore because of what I say about Obama. And so we have to send the letters individually to the inmates instead of by bulk. But there are others that welcome them. Thank God for that. But there is a force rising up. Now the United Nations has declared, and by the way, I've got a UN document saying that this U.S. census, with all the global positioning thing, is a UN project. What does the UN have to do with the United States Census? And now the federal government, there's legislation, there's a lot of legislation that's coming down like off a conveyor belt, one after another. Now they are seizing upon all the water, literally, and they spelled it out in detail. Every underground stream, every creek, every duck pond in the backyard, and I'm not exaggerating. Every mud puddle, all water belongs to them. It's not yours anymore. There's water in your land, that's not yours. They've got mineral rights. They got water rights. They're taking it all. You can live there as long as you abide by their regulations and pay their taxes. They'll let you live there because you don't own anything anymore, you see? Everything you've got is given by their benevolence because you don't know what's good for you. They'll tell you what to eat. They'll tell you not to take the vitamins because they have to be regulated by the federal government. The Codex Alimentarius law, which will be forthcoming. They're going to make all these supplements prescription. That way you got to go and see the doctor and pay him $200 if you want to get some vitamin C. How long before they regulate oranges and grapefruit? If you want to go and buy some shark cartilage, you could get arrested for taking chicken cartilage scraps out of the dumpster from Colonel Sanders, KFC. I tell you, they are going to regulate everything. Just watch. This sounds far-fetched? Maybe so. But you watch how they close in as the dark clouds come in and get thicker and thicker and thicker. That is precisely why we need to be yielded to God and be filled with the Spirit. And now they've got legislation that is about to go through regulating all guns to disarm the people and saying, well, if you're going to have a gun, now you have to have it registered, of course. You have to be fingerprinted, and you have to keep it locked up in our designated place, and you are subject to a mandatory mental and physical evaluation at our discretion at any time.